Hi, Bother Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. First off, I want to say thank you to everyone who made my most recent video, my most viewed and most successful video to date on this website. So, thank you. Hi, new thousands of you. Like, what the actual is going on? So yeah, I'm very appreciative. There will be a live stream coming shortly, but I did want to talk about that video a little bit more for a couple reasons. So I know I mostly kept it focused on the notion of white supremacy within the Latin American community, but as many commenters were also talking about or wanted clarification on is further discussions of what it means to be white in Latin America. That's unfortunately not the conversation we're going to have here, because I feel like a part of that is going to be involved with a different project that I have started with some other Latin American creators that I'm hoping can kind of touch on that and explain more of that. But then that also made me realize that there was something I didn't talk about, which was kind of relevant to that and sort of relevant to the idea of whiteness in Latin America, which is that there was a method under the later days of the Spanish Empire where you could purchase whiteness. So to, again, really briefly oversimplify, there was this notion in the Spanish Empire and in various other future Latin American countries about what constitutes whiteness. And so, you know, while many Latinos could see themselves as white, if they crossed the magical line in the sand that put them in a different, even whiter country, they would be seen as very ethnic and non-white. There were several commenters in that video pointing out or trying to challenge me saying, oh, well, you know, Spaniards were considered white in America for like centuries after this happened. So no, these people can't possibly be white. It's all silly. And I'm like, yeah, because you're talking about America and how America views whiteness, but Spain was still a part of Europe. Spain and Portugal and France all had same ideas about what it meant to be European, to be civilized, what represented proper religion, aka Christianity. All these, and how they did colonialism and imperialism were all very much the same way. Sure, the languages were different and sometimes the flavor of Christianity changed, but it was all the same methodology that was going on, and it came from the same place of European superiority through race and religion and culture and what they termed as civilization. But with that being said, within the Spanish Empire, and again the Costa, which we kind of just blew over because that's a whole thing to unpack, there were ways for pardos, or in some cases some mulattoes, to actually purchase whiteness. So no, this obviously wasn't open to indigenous people whose lands they were stealing and people they were enslaving, nor did that apply to the subsequent waves of African forced migration to Latin America, where they were also enslaved, right? So it was still very limited, but again, certain groups who had been of mixed race, so whether they were castizos or mestizos, mulattoes or pardos, which technically I'm a pardo because I am part indigenous, part black, and part white. So according to the Casta, that would make me closer to white adjacent and therefore eligible for purchasing whiteness. Now, again, I want to stress that the Spanish Empire, like so many other colonial empires, forbade people of certain races from having certain jobs, like being a doctor or a teacher, or anything that could allow for a greater social respect or a higher place in the social hierarchy. This was very much closed off to them all the time. You couldn't hold public office, you were just denied outright entry into university, or in many cases most schools. But if you were less clearly someone who was brown and were closer to an idea of what the Spanish viewed as whiteness, you could use something which was known as gracias al sacar to basically be declared white. So the quote I'm about to read you comes from the book The Humanity Archive, Recovering the Soul of Black History from a Whitewashed American Myth by Jermaine Fowler. Might just have to add that to my reading list. But the rest of the sources and the inspiration for a lot of this and where I'm pulling the information from comes from a different book called Purchasing Whiteness by Ann Twynham. It's of course going to be added to my reading list, and I encourage everyone to do the same. By 1795, in the Spanish Empire, if you were a mulatto, you could write to the Spanish crown and purchase whiteness. It was a process called the gracias al sacar, or thanks for the pardon, allowing one to erase the defect that you suffer from birth and leave you able and capable as if you did not have it, repealing this time in your favor whatever laws, ordinances, or constitutions speak otherwise. In other words, you were no longer barred from professions, could marry into white families, and enjoyed all the legal and social privileges of your new status. You got a white card. It was the legal version of skin bleaching. A select few pardos and mulattoes could petition the royal courts in Spain for being declared legally white. So in a way, while it's extremely limited, this is one of the earliest forms of social mobility within a colonizing structure, which is very weird and unusual, but I really just kind of wanted to mention it. I didn't think it would fit, and it would be too much of a tangent in the previous video, and in this upcoming project, same thing. It might not even become truly relevant, but it is something that I had come across recently that I wanted to share with people just to further show how absolutely wild and ridiculous racism is, where, oh, you know what? No, look, these handful of mixed race people, I guess they could be considered white in the eyes of the law. Like, it's all just so incredibly ludicrous and ridiculous, and it's definitely what's bothering me today.